So the last little sanding dust collection test I want to do is on the edge of something. These little sanders often get used, or I use them regularly, for just cleaning up, denibbing between coats of paint or primer on the edge of a board like this. This is a piece of 25mm MRMDF that's been painted yesterday, just to give us an edge, and normally you just got to go over that with a sander just to clean it up and denib it before you get a second coat of it. And I'm going to do that now. Oops. And we'll see how much dust gets collected, or rather left behind. Edge sanding like this is always a challenge for sanders because there's only so much of the pad in contact with the actual material. So nice clean line to start with, and we'll start with the Bosch. Okay. So all good to go. Now, as I say, this is a challenge for any sander because there's only so much of the pad in contact with the actual surface, but you can see quite clearly here how much dust has escaped. So we'll just reset that for the Festool. And start again. Oh. I think once again that's fairly conclusive proof. You can't even see a line there. What there is a very fine layer of dust that's obviously escaped and just kind of drifted inwards. You know, no matter how good the dust collection is, you'd expect a certain amount of that, but there's literally no line there. You can't see where the edge of the board was. I've got to say, mighty impressive. Mighty impressed with it. So it probably shouldn't come as any great surprise that Festool's dust collection is actually better than in the Bosch. Festool made their name out of dust collection. They patented the orbital sander with a separate dust extraction outlet in 1966, and they've clearly put a bit of time into it since then. They also changed from just the regular 8-hole pattern sandpaper to this, I don't know how many holes it is actually, probably twice as many. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, so yeah, not quite as many, another half dozen holes in there, and clearly that makes a difference. Instead of these 8 large holes with absolutely nothing in the centre, when you've got, particularly when you're sanding on an edge like that, clearly these centre holes make a big difference. I must admit, when they introduced these extra holes in the abrasives, I thought it was a bit of a gimmick. I've never actually tested it out. I've never noticed that the dust collection was better, but I think that little test shows fairly conclusively, certainly on sanding on an edge like that, just how much better the dust extraction is, certainly on this RTS 400 versus the Bosch GSS 160. I had to look then to see what it was. So I think that's it for the tests for now. We'll do a little wind up and then we'll draw our conclusion. So let's recap. The Bosch here is a fantastic little sander. It is great value for money. Street price on this particular one is £75 for the rectangular pad. You can spend 105 like I did on the one that gives you the 3 pads. You can actually save a little bit more money. I think it's about 68 or 70, and just get the one with the little square pad. You can buy the pads afterwards. They're about £13–14, something like that. So it's not a huge saving buying the multi-part kit. The Festool comes in 2 versions. If you want the sustainer and a few extra bits and bobs, it's about £280 street price. You can save a little bit of money by foregoing those and getting the one just in a carton that costs about £245–250 or thereabouts. So, you know, big difference in price. In terms of the way the sanders handle and work, they're both fantastic. The Bosch has really impressed me. It's a terrific sander. It's nice in the hand. It feels good. It has a slightly finer stroke than the Festool, so it's a little bit more of a finishing sander, which means you might need to use slightly coarser grits to get the same sort of progress. But this isn't a machine for taking off large quantities of stock. Orbital sanders like these are for doing denibbing between coats of paint, or finer surface sanding where you're just sanding filler back. As I say, I use the Festool for drywall just because it's so light, 1.2 kilos, 2.6 pounds thereabouts. Absolutely fine for using in front of you or overhead. They work really well for that. No qualms whatsoever about recommending the Bosch, right up to the point where we started doing the dust collection tests. I am asthmatic, as you can probably tell from my slightly croaky voice. Hilariously, it's the inhaler that gives me the croaky voice. But the dust collection on the Festool is significantly better, whether it's on the flat where you wouldn't expect that much difference, where the pad is in complete contact, or whether it's on an edge where obviously the extra holes in Festool's sanding paper and backing pads make a big difference to the amount of dust that's collected or not. That said, if you're not too bothered about that, if you're working mostly in a workshop, the Bosch is a fantastic little sander to have, especially given the price, you know, less than a third of the cost of the cheapest Festool RTS. So, in conclusion, the things that the Bosch doesn't have, great dust collection, the plug-it cable, and variable speed, are probably things that would push you towards the Festool if they're important to you. If they're not, as I say, if you're working at home or outside or in a workshop, then the Bosch is a fantastic little sander to have for the money. For 75 quid, it's a professional level sander that will serve you well for many years. That's it for this week. I hope you've enjoyed this little comparison between the two sanders. If you have, give it a thumbs up, share it amongst your friends, and please do consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Then you'll be notified whenever I put up something new. But for this week, where 10 minutes in the workshop is never actually 10 minutes, I'll see you next time. Take care.